Hmm. Okay, let's get right into this. This is basically the update from the Commissioner of the Social Security Administration, Martin O'Malley, when it comes to the key promises that he is making and presenting at NOSSCR. What is NOSSCR? NOSSCR is like the group that all the people who work in the industry are part of, right? It's not super cheap per year to join it. They do a lot at basically on the Hill with trying to make sure the legislation goes through and promotes and pushes forward an agenda that is pro-claimant. With that said, Commissioner Martin O'Malley is showing his showmanship when it comes to essentially going to these events with a lot of people, a lot of backing from the SSA, and really giving an amazing update and really showing face. And so here's the thing. This is not a commissioner that's showing up and reading a pre-designed exacting speech. He's getting up there and basically giving details in a much more relaxed and natural off the tongue type of tone, with his verbiage giving this really kind of beautiful humanistic approach to it. So in that regard, he is a commissioner that is promoting the idea, and it appears that the laws and rules and regulations that he's really changing and modifying are following that agenda, which we have not seen in a very, very long time. Let's get into it real quick. Here are the key takeaways I'm going to read to you directly from the Social Security Forum related to the May 30th, 2024 publication for the general session slides from the commissioner and the OHO group, which is, of course, the Office of Hearing Operations, which is the group at the SSA that oversees the ALJ hearings and the Appeals Council. Let's get into it real quick. Goal for fiscal year 2024. They want all hearings to be processed within 270 days. This goal is only possible if representatives continue to opt into telephone and MS Teams hearings, allowing for the equal distribution of hearings caseloads across all OHOs. So, what are they saying? They're saying they want disability attorneys to continue to go forth and request basically video teleconference and telephonic, that just means over the phone, hearings going forward, because that means that they can distribute those hearings all over the place. Doesn't have to be to one particular locale. Whereas basically, when it comes to an in person hearing, it is specific to that one area. But if you do it by telephone, if you do it by video teleconference, which is that whole MS Teams, Microsoft Teams based program, then they can go and more evenly distribute the hearings over the net, which is going to save the problem that they have with not enough judges, even though they hired on a zillion of them during Commissioner Kijikazi's last staying in as commissioner, right? The prior commissioner hired on a bunch of new disability attorneys or disability judges. So the bottom line here is that he's saying, look, guys, if you want this thing to speed up, if you want the hearings to be faster, you have to keep doing telephonic and video telephonic hearings. Cool. Next one, next goal that he's shooting for, the promise, the goal, the seeking, okay? Exhibit evidence at least 30 days prior to the hearing. So what they're saying here is they're going to try and make sure that all of the documents that are inside the ERE, when we go to actually look at it, when we go to actually brief it, will be exhibited a total of 30 days before the hearing. Normally, we'll see it about 2 weeks being exhibited before the hearing. Recently, over the past year or so, it's been even closer. We see it like 2 to 3 days before the hearing being exhibited. That makes it tricky for the attorneys because when we write briefs, we can't basically go ahead and cite to something that hasn't been exhibited yet because it doesn't have an exhibit number. So what he's saying is, look, we're going to try and basically get these things exhibited within 30 days prior to the hearing. That way, everything's more organized, ready to roll, and good to go for the hearing. Next goal. Process fee petitions within 90 days. I would be absolutely astounded. I would be mind boggled and fluffed if they actually did that. I have fee petitions that have been in for years and years and still have not had a decision. That's why basically, that's the number one reason why disability attorneys don't traditionally take claimants who had a prior attorney unless that prior attorney is willing to withdraw for fees and representation. Yes, it's the sharing of fees, which sucks because we don't get paid enough to begin with. But it's also that both law firms have to submit what's called a fee petition, which is where we outline our hours, the time we had to spend on the claim, and how much we're charging, and blah, 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 blah. And so as a result of that, there's a battle of the fees. And then a judge has to decide who's going to get what in this battle of the fees. And so as a result of that, it could take years. Now he's saying in 90 days, that's 3 months. I would be flabbergasted, astronomically flubbered. I would be floor bluffered. Okay, I'm gonna make up some blah 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 words. It would mind boggle my canusias. All right, it would be just it would be a shining light of a Death Star. It would be just gorgeous before it hit. That's what I'm thinking. All right, let's go to the next one. Coming soon. Higher quality and easier to download hearing recordings. So I don't know if you guys know this, but when you download the hearing recordings, the recordings are actually not that bad. They tend to use proximity microphones. The best recordings they had were when the cardioid microphones were right in front of the face, or hypercardioid, depending on what they were using. So they even had shotgun microphones, and shotgun microphones are basically where it captures a very tiny little area in front of the person. But they've had the whole smattering. They've had proximity mics, cardioids, hypercardioid, all that. They've had all that stuff. The point is, they're going to be upgrading the hearing audio quality going forward, which is good, because then it's easier to kind of hear what's going on throughout the hearing process. Next thing, best practice tip, they say, submit pre-hearing briefs whenever possible. All right, so the reason they're saying that is submit pre-hearing briefs whenever possible. A lot of attorneys don't get paid enough to do disability law and submit a brief because it's too expensive time-wise to go ahead and type up, a couple of pages of a brief for all these different claimants when we get paid so little. And so the reality of it is that we'll usually review the file and we'll either do a quick paragraph write up for, essentially like an intro statement, right? An opening statement. But it's very rare that most of these attorneys are even doing an opening brief or a pre-hearing brief, because the bottom line is we just don't get paid enough, and we have to process so many of these darn claims just to be able to pay for the insurance and the staff and really crappy salaries for ourselves. I mean, I look at them like I literally I could stop working today at the law firm and go work at UPS and make probably double. Well, no, because of my potentially triple what I make right now. Like just to kind of explain how shitty our pay is. So anyways, point is, pre-hearing briefs, I don't think a lot of attorneys are going to be doing them. I think what it comes down to is basically doing the opening statements. That kind of guides the judge specifically where things are going. But if they are created, submit them as early as possible. Next thing, save OTRs, OTR requests for cases when evidence unequivocally supports a favorable decision. So there were a lot of people on basically YouTube who kept telling people, you know what you should do? You should get your attorney to submit an OTR right now, right now, right now, right? And so people were like, oh, that sounds, yeah, I'm going to, OTR and on the record, right? And then on the record, what is an on the record? Okay, so an on the record is where you're requesting that the judge make a decision based off of what's in the record without having a hearing. This can be a really smart thing or the dumbest thing you've ever done in your entire life. It all depends on the medical evidence. If you have everything in there and everything looks really strong, clearly meets the listing, cool, submit the OTR, see what they want to do. If it's not absolutely certain, then don't submit an OTR, because the judge is just going to send back a thing that says, nope, we're going to do the hearing. You got to give testimony, yada, yada, yada. Here's why. And they're saying here, only submit OTRs, right, if the evidence is unequivocally supporting of a favorable decision. The reason why is a lot of people, and I think it was a lot of non-legal reps too, they have these channels where they're like, I was found disabled, now I help people, blah, 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 those types. They were telling people, submit that OTR over and over and over without even thinking about the trial tactic and, the problems that can come with that. Anyway, point is, a lot of people submitted OTRs, slowed the whole court system down, because then they had to keep sending out rejections of OTRs because these people did not actually know what an OTR was, how it's supposed to be applied, trial tactics with it, all that jazz. But to be fair, you get that when you have non-attorneys basically telling people how to go ahead and do disability benefits. The worst of them, though, are the ones that were found disabled back in the day. There are some channels where, like, I catch some of their videos. I have heavily thought about doing review videos about these different channels that do this stuff. Every time I do it, I wake up a bumblebee nest of angry people that love that other channel. And then when I correct them and what's going on, some of them get angry, some of them are happy, some of them just want to know the truth. And then that works. But there's always like 30% of them that are like, screw you. I don't like you because you said my guy isn't blah, blah, blah. The reality is you get a lot of crap when you correct somebody who other people trust, even though the other person is wrong and hurting them. And they don't realize it because, hey, They've been listening to the person. They're cool with it. It is what it is. So anyways, next one. You get whoever you listen to, you get what they give. That's the reality. Okay. Let's keep rolling through these promises, goals, achievements on behalf of the commissioner of the SSA. Now, just keep in mind, oh, very cool. Diana Fernandez did a 99-cent donation. That's awesome. Thank you. That's awesome. Very, very cool. So, okay, so here's the deal. They have up and running basically this thing called Security Stat. It's a smart thing. Commissioner Martin O'Malley used it when he was governor. He used it even before that. And what it is it's a program that tracks specifically where the bullet point key items are that they're most worried about. Wait times, being able to get somebody on the phone at the SSA, stuff like that. So it's up and running. It's doing well. We're going to actually see some of those details here so you have an understanding specifically as to what they're working on. Okay. So what they go over in this whole entire document is the OHO state of services, right? That's the Office of Hearing Operations. That's the ALJ Hearings Office and the Appeals Council. They go over information technology updates. They go through Office of Chief Administrative Law Judge updates and questions at the end. We're going to skip the questions part and just get to what they're talking about, promising, etc. Here we go. All right, so Security Stat, we already went through the basics of that. That's basically a program that tracks what they want to know and how well they're improving. Let's go to the next one here. Okay, Office of Hearing Operations. Wait a minute. Are we going backwards? I think we're going backwards. Nah, here it is. Got it. All right, OHO State of Services. So what are they talking about here? These are direct quotes. We have substantially decreased the hearing pending and reduced the number of hearing requests pending from a high of over 1.1 million in fiscal year 2016 to under 300,000 currently. Now, that is true. Fewer people are applying for disability benefits. They're afraid because of the wait time. They also know that they need more money than what they can get on disability benefits. So they're just going to push through the impairments and try and earn as much as they can. So that is true. There's fewer hearings, fewer applicants. But what they don't tell you is that there's a giant clump of claimants that are stuck at DDS, and that massive backlog is working its way through initial filing reconsideration to the ALJ hearing level. And as a result of that, you'll see that that clump will end up basically clogging up the hearing level over the next 2 years. Next one, we have also decreased the average processing time for a hearing since the end of fiscal year 2017. Through April 26, 2024, our fiscal year to date average processing time was 357 days, down from 628 days in fiscal year 2017. And that's true. In 2017, it was bad. It was bad. Something was going on. It was taking forever to get the hearings going. They didn't have enough administrative law judges. It was super bad. But again, it's fast right now because COVID created this chunk of block of, people applying at, initial filing and recon that haven't made it to the ALJ hearing level yet. So while the stat looks good right now, it's going to get shittier after the election into 2025. Our current goal is to eliminate the hearings pending by the end of fiscal year 2024, which means achieving a monthly 270-day average processing time. I think they'll probably get close to hitting that, but the moment they hit 2025, that clump of backlog claimants in DDS recon, that's going to hit. It's going to throw a whole monkey wrench in the hearing level system. Okay, let's go to the next one. What is going on here? Sorry, I'm going the wrong way. Here we go. Perfect. All right, so over here, actually, we can just pretty much get rid of this here. Over here, what we have, okay, so here's the age case progress. Kind of shows essentially, and these are in months, so this isn't years. This is October 2023 all the way through fiscal year to date, April 2024, so April 26. So you can see age cases progress. Things are growing a little bit. Things are kind of grooving and moving through the system. So not look, they got to go through the COVID claimants. They got to get through that. Okay, this is not an easy peasy situation. They're going to have to work through it. Okay, let's go over here. We got monthly receipts and dispositions. So basically they hit a high in March, but they're starting to come back down. This was March. They're coming back down. So we're talking about basically Feb and Jan type of stuff. So that's good. They're moving in the right direction. Next one. We got hearings, average processing time, and age of pending. So, basically we got average processing time, average age of pending. Things are improving. Things are improving. Things were super shitty a couple months ago, but they're getting better. They're definitely getting better. Very good. But again, 2025, there's going to be a problem. It doesn't matter who's president. It doesn't matter who's commissioner. It's going to be a problem no matter what they do. We already went over the average waiting time and processing time and stuff like that. Bottom line is we already covered that in another video, so I'm going to skip that. Let's go over to the next thing. Hearings pending. Now, you're going to notice here, this is from 2016 all the way to the current date. So 2016 all the way to current date. So here's the deal. There are significantly fewer people applying for disability benefits than they used to, and then a chunk of people are stuck at essentially DDS. Now, this thing starts to get very different because you can see it dives into 2019, and then we hit 2020 and we begin the whole process with COVID, right? Your whole COVID-y kind of stuff, and then it kind of averages out. Here's what's happening. There's the clump, the backlog. There's another thing too. A lot of the boomers, because when there's like actual generations, like the boomer generation and the Gen Y generation, the thing is there's a lot of people born in these generations. So like when you look at the lifeline across how many people there are per each generation, right? So you got boom, tons of boomers, and then you go a little bit farther back in the timeline and it goes smaller. And then boom, Gen Yers, and you go smaller, back farther, and then boom, millennials. And so, there's a massive explosion of the amount of births that occur as a result of people in those generations making the most births. It's like the most popular, year is in the middle of these generations sometimes, but there's a lot of people born during that whole thing. That's why they become that particular generation. For example, the boomers, the greatest generation, a lot of these were the result of coming home from war and starting a family, right? So that's how it worked out. Now we just have basically millennials who have too much student loans and too much fear about not having enough cash to have a real relationship and then create kids because they live in a world of constant fear from total financial collapse. So it's going to be great. It's going to all work out poorly. All right, let's go to the next one over here. Perfect. Okay. Over here, we have breakdown of hearings held by modality. So this is kind of a cool chart. You got in-person, traditional video, audio, telephone, and online video. The only really big ones that I'm expecting to see here are going to be essentially your audio, telephone, which are massive. They are massive. In-person has dropped significantly. In-person used to be huge. In person, 71% in 2018. In person, 70% in 2019. In person, 35% in 2020. And then, of course, 2021, there wasn't like in person because of COVID. But what's interesting is that the whole audio telephone, that's exploded. And I've always held that audio telephone hearings for disability benefits are the best because you can have in front of your claimant all the lists of things they need to know so that they don't say stupid stuff during the hearing. Or, basically, if they do, it's within the reasoning of their impairments and their limitations. And you expect that as a result of a trial tactic and their impairments. But otherwise, you want them to know the information the judge is asking for. Some people are like, no, you just want them to be completely and have no idea. No, you want a smooth hearing where the judge is given the information the judge needs. Okay, top 5 impairments, 2 symptoms / signs per each. When did each begin? When did each become severe? Medications and side effects. Where do they work within the past 15 years? Why can they no longer work those jobs? Why can't they work the simplest jobs in the economy? They have to have the basic list ready. Okay, so basically these audio telephone, they're just taking over. It's in my opinion, it's going to be almost entirely within the next couple of years, basically telephone and video telephone. Decision writing pending. So basically here you have how quickly they can, go ahead and, they have a hearing and then this amount of time it takes to go ahead and have the writer write up a brief and have the judge sign off on it. You can see basically all the way from, looks like 2023. What do we got here? What is this, January? Is that January? Yeah, January 2023, October 2023. So they kind of messed with the chart here. They put January and then October. So that's smooching the chart a little bit. But bottom line is you can see here, they don't have as many hearings at the hearing office. So that, of course, threw the metrics off for throwing the whole thing down so that there's not as much wait time because they don't have as many hearings. They don't have as many claimants at the hearing level, so the writers are not stuck trying to constantly play catch up. Information technology updates. The ARS enhancement, initial and reconsideration case listings. On January 20th, 2024, they released an enhancement to Appointed Representative Services, ARS, which is what we all call the ERE, Electronic Records Express. Representatives now have access to a list of their cases pending at the initial and reconsideration levels, providing an easy way to determine if their SSA Form 1696 has been processed. Now, here's why they did that. The disability attorneys were constantly getting pissed with the SSA because we couldn't tell at the initial filing and recon level when essentially, our 1696, our appointment of representation form was filed. So like we would call in, they'd be like, we can't talk to you, your thing hasn't been processed, or oh, we never got the claim, or no. Now we can log in and we can see that shit where it's at, what's going on. So there's none of this whole like, oh, we didn't get the I don't know where the claim. It might be at DDS, might be at the field of none of that. Now we can see at the initial filing and recon levels and have access into the system to see basically when our reps hit. And that's important because when we have our rep docs in, we can see their system to see what's going on, to see what they're putting in. All right, next thing. Higher quality hearing recordings. OHO is preparing to release new audio recording software called Hearing Recordings and Transcriptions. Not a big deal. They're probably just boosting it from 16-bit, 44.1 to, 24-bit 96K, stuff like that. It's not, the previous recordings were fine. I mean, sometimes you had a crap room where they'd have really crappy older microphones. A lot of them would use these proximity mics in the very beginning that were crap. Then they got better proximity mics. So it is what it is. Hearings recorded using HART will be available for download via the current ARS process. We log into the ERE. Actually, just so you guys know how this works, this is, I don't think, anywhere else on the web. When you have a claim at the hearing level, all the documents are in what's called the case documents folder. When those case documents start to get organized, they go into folder 2, the exhibits folder. Once you've had your hearing, a new folder pops up it's basically the hearing audio, and that what that has is your whole hearing in that recording. Okay. Next one. HART recordings are .wav files and will play on the computer's default audio player. Yeah, .wav files are pretty much standard operation. I appreciate that because usually the government gets scammed into situations where they're having to use some weird file type that nobody else uses. Like if you see a government coming out with some sort of imaging process, extension document that nobody uses, like they're just behind the time they need to get with PDFs. That does happen a lot. And the SSA had a lot of those problems with that. Next thing, OHO centralized mail, process for reps, not a new process. For electronic cases, use Appointed Representative Services. For paper cases, or when there's a large volume of paper evidence, send to the hearing office's unique PO box. Include barcode, cover sheet, or claimant's identifying information. I always request that they convert it over to basically an electronic claim, and the reason why is you can catch things that they miss when it comes to the conversion from all case documents to the ERE. For exhibit list. Next one, health information technology hit automated trigger for OHO cases. OHO has made 63,263 overall hit requests for fiscal year 24 as of March 20th. 39.9% of those requests were automatically triggered, 25,780. Basically, these are types of requests that are usually processed through DDS for all kinds of different things, right? It's anything that they could basically, sending out a notification, requesting medical records, etc. All right, let's go to the next thing. That's that. Let's go over here. All right. Now, this is from the Office of the Chief Administrative Law Judge, OCALJ. This is their updates. Submit fee petitions via fax to the Servicing Hearing Office and NHC, which is kind of like their upper place. If hearing office has referred the request to the Regional Chief Administrative Law Judge, follow up with the regional office. Hearing and regional office fax numbers can be found here. Cool. Our processing goal is 90 days. I would be flabbergasted. I would be a cupcake with icing on me if they actually achieve that. Blah, blah, blah. Fee petitions. Cha-cha-cha. Simple, straightforward. Okay, hearing office staff strive to exhibit evidence at least 30 days prior to the hearing. They still don't do that, but they can strive. But, it is what it is. All right, let's see. And then the rest are just kind of okay. And these are the things that they've submitted to basically all the representatives. Here's the OCALJ updates where they're requesting that we consider these things going forward. Be familiar with and follow the rules of conduct and standards of responsibility for representatives. Register for direct payment of fees and e-folder access online. Ensure a fee agreement or fee petition is consistent with SSA's law and policies. Consider submitting an electronic fee agreement found at blah 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 blah. Submit non-duplicate. So here's the thing: the judges get cranky when we submit duplicates. So submit non-duplicative. Duplicative, yeah. So no duplicates and clearly legible evidence as early as possible using appointed representative services. Consider appearing at the hearing by telephone or online video hearing. Submit concise pre-hearing briefs whenever possible. Only request an OTR decision when evidence unequivocally supports a favorable decision. So view our online resources, best practices for claimants and representatives. Cool. So, that's good stuff for people who don't do this all the time. They can kind of check back in with it. And of course they change it. So it's always something to check in. All right. So bottom line is this. Now you guys have understood what the promises are, what the goals are, what the suggestions are by Commissioner Martin O'Malley, who gathered together the tech people, the highest level hearing people, the general overseeing people, and of course himself, the leader. And they all presented before the SSA, before the NOSSCR group, which is absolutely amazing and excellent. Now, with that said, there are things that you need to know about going forward when it comes to how politics will change this, what's going to happen during the election cycle, and things like that. We're going to cover that in another video because I need to immediately go live after this video. We're taking 2, possibly 3 calls where I answer questions, and that's it. Then I got to go to bed. Remember, tomorrow I go work at the homeless office. So don't call the firm tomorrow if you want me. If you want back office, fine. But if you want me, don't call tomorrow. I'm working with the homeless. They literally line them up. There's a huge line, massive stack of folders. Don't call me tomorrow. I'm working with the homeless. I do every Wednesday. With that said, very important, Tuesdays and Thursdays, I go live to answer questions. You get a short 5-minute shot to ask me a question, get an answer, use a fake name throughout the process. If you need more time than that, there's a little mini contract in the thing below where basically you can hire me for an hour. The other detail is this: please consider liking and subscribing. It helps me make more videos. And also, boop, 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 go to Google, type in Disability Resolution Law Firm, and throw some stars up on the review board. Theodore, thank you for the $5 donation. That's awesome. Waiting for you to say bye-bye. That is one of the one of a kind. I don't know why I say it's because I grew up on a farm in New Jersey, and that's how we say it. We say bye-bye, bye-bye. So I understand that a lot of people, in fact, our first moderator would always give me shit about that. Just say bye. It's like a 4-year-old saying bye-bye. Anyways, I will catch you all later. Diana Fernandez, thank you for the donation. That's absolutely amazing. Very, very cool. Toodaloo to all of you. And have a wonderful night. I will see you in 5 minutes to do the final live show where I answer questions and talk like not this and wave my hand around like an Italian, blah, blah, blah. All right, I'll catch you later. Bye-bye. Have fun.